Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands with your host, John the Bod, aka the Bodfather.
What's up? This is Ruben from Upon a Burning Body, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guest do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, aka the Bodfather. As always, I bring you guys awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a very huge privilege to have Ruben. He's the guitarist of Upon a Burning Body. Upon a Burning Body have released their new album, Southern Hostility, out now via Seek and Strike. And you want to pick this album up. I've liked Upon a Burning Body for a very long time. They have some great music that's out. And I'm very, very impressed with this new album. I like how they've went kind of back to their roots, if that's safe to say, Ruben, and not a bad thing, but a good thing, man. How's it going?
Hey, it's going great. No, that's perfect. That's the perfect way to explain this album. You know, as we went bare bones, we went back to the rawness and the energy of the first two albums that we created. And I think, you know, most bands, you know, tend to do that just because you kind of get lost in like what you're doing, and then you have to kind of look back and think about where the band started and how it all began and what the band is built off of. And that for us, that was just pure energy, pure aggression, just, you know, hammering away, making some really groovy riffs. And I feel like we nailed it right on the head. How's
it been working with Seek and Strike, George, the mighty George, which is awesome?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, these guys work harder than anyone, you know, we know. And they believe in this since the beginning. And that's how this whole conversation got started, is they just like, let's just work together and let us, you know, put you in front of the right people, and, you know, let's make Upon a Burning Body, you know, what they're supposed to be, and that's just a straight up metal band.
You guys stated, and I quote, the energy of this album takes us back to our first two, but with much more maturity. Do you see your songs, your writing, having that missing piece that may have not been there previously after you see the band maturing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as you grow as a musician and you know, as an artist, you just start to kind of weed out, you know, what you don't need. And, you know, sometimes you add a bunch of stuff thinking that, you know, you want to sound a certain way, and it doesn't always work. It doesn't always pan out the way you want it to. So, yeah, for us, it was definitely an experimental, you know, back and forth and trying all these different things as we're developing. And now it's just like we kind of went back, and we're just like, man, we're going too far. We're straying too far. We're going out in the middle of the lake, and we're kind of getting lost. So I was like, let's just go back and let's do this and create something that is just feels like home. And, you know, but with the maturity that we have now, the mindset that we have now. And, you know, that's what we did.
But at least you guys pushed yourself outside of that box of your comfort zone, you know, and I give you kudos for that, because a lot of bands won't do that. They won't experiment.
Yeah, I think it's definitely been a learning experience. And, you know, we've always been the type of band that wants to grow. So, you know, we're not content with like sounding the same. Every album sounds the same. And, you know, that's cool. It works for some bands. But for us, it's always been like, let's grow and let's continue to evolve as a band. And so every record sounds different. You know, you hear all the albums and every single one sounds different. Even every song sounds different. You know what I mean? And it's just an evolution for us in every way.
So what's impressed or excited you the most about Southern Hostility, if anything? The writing or the making of it? What's impressed or sticks out for you the most, possibly?
Oh, man, I think really it's the riffs, man. I think we really focused on writing the hooky, groovy, you know, Pantera-esque kind of just those standout riffs that you could almost hum, you know. And I think that was really the focus of the record. Is like, okay, we got the vocals down, like, you know, Danny's an amazing front man, and we got the energy. Let's just try to focus on these really hooky, catchy metal riffs. And we're thinking about the old bands, like what do they have that, you know, made them so big and massive, like, you know, going back to Metallica and Pantera and all these bands. It's just like those riffs you can just hum, you know. It's just it fills up. You can fill up an arena, and you being a metal band, which is, to me, was amazing.
I had talked to my friend today, and I asked him because every time I see Vulgar Display of Power by Pantera, I think of him because he said that's what got him into metal music. And I said, well, what was it about Pantera's Vulgar Display of Power that got you into music? He said their music had a meaning, their riffs, their melodies, everything about that whole album to him struck a nerve with him. And he's like, that's what got it for me. And I was struck by that. I was like, how cool is that to hear somebody else talk about what we're talking about and getting from Pantera what we have?
Yeah, definitely. They've been a huge influence on our band as well, you know, since the beginning. I mean, obviously they're from Texas. They have that groove, and that's what really drew me into writing these groovy riffs. And like, I love to write those riffs that you could just headbang to, and they're so heavy and energetic. And, you know, I feel like we stayed true to that, you know, throughout all our albums. That's one thing that every album has, is that groove. And, you know, they're the band for us. We always looked up to them, and we're like, man, it's so cool that such a heavy band was like touring with AC/DC and Metallica, who are, you know, a little bit softer than them, but they would kill it and they would crush it. Like watching that, what is it, Monsters of Moscow, you know, DVD back in the day. And that was just like, that was it. I would sit there and I would watch that thing over and over and over. And I'm just like, man, this is amazing.
Yeah, you're talking about the Monsters of Moscow. I remember Metallica when they played the Monsters of Rock over there. You know how they broke the wall, how they broke the walls down, and then after they left, you know, here comes Pantera in a couple years later, and they do the same thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Was it hard to choose between the current set of songs that you guys have written so far? Which one would be that first single or video you wanted to release or push first, or was it hands down King of Diamonds?
It was hard to pick because we felt like we had a lot of singles. Like a lot of the album to us was great. So it was tough, but I think King of Diamonds just had that faster pace. It didn't follow the traditional structure. You know, it's kind of all over the place, and it kind of just breaks the rules in a sense, but it's a great song. So I think for us, we came to it unanimously, and we're just like, this has to be the first one out of the gate because it's so different, and it still has the energy that we want. And it's just the song. Like, I don't know. To us, I think that was after we listened to the whole record, it was like, okay, this is the one. Let's go with this one.
For Upon a Burning Body, what did you mean by like it broke all the rules for you guys? Let's talk about that for a little bit for the fans who are not familiar with that.
Well, I mean, this is the first song we wrote on the new album, so it's crazy that it ended up being the first single. But you know, we were writing, and I had pre-pro'd a bunch of stuff that we ended up just tossing out. And when we got in the studio, we basically wrote every song in the studio while we were there. And all the pre-pro that I had written was trash because we ended up tuning up on this album. We went up to B, and it brought this clarity and almost this nostalgic feel to the older, you know, metal bands that were out. And it just had this whole different feel for us. So, you know, that was a big thing. And then as far as structurally, you know, we were getting into this kind of almost formulaic writing, and this song does not follow that at all. Like it jumps from a verse to a solo, and then it goes into the chorus, and then it drops down into a breakdown, and then it goes back into another verse. So it's just all over the place, but at the same time, it flows so perfectly.
Any songs standing out more to you than any right now on this album, Ruben? I know it must change every time you listen to it, and I know you're close to these because you're solely the writer on this. But do you have any that stick out for you, possibly, man?
Yeah, the other one that really stood out to me was Reinventing Hatred, and it's crazy because it sounds kind of like a more like older Upon song, like it has almost like a deathcore feel, but to me, it just has something like a little extra spice on it that I can't put my finger on. But when I hear it, it just makes me want to just move. It gives me that energy that I want in a song. And, you know, I think that's what you want from your listeners. You know, when they listen to your song, you want them to go back to it for a reason. And I feel like this song just has that extra little sauce on it. And I don't even know what it is, but when I hear it, it just gets me going.
So this music video for King of Diamonds was directed by Scott Hansen, who has worked with Motionless in White and Seven Dust. What was the draw to work with him on this video for you guys?
Well, it's crazy because he actually has he did two of our first music videos that we ever did, and you know he's always been an amazing filmmaker and music video director as well. and it just worked out perfectly. Like, we're looking for people, and Danny, our vocalist, he knows them, like they're friends, and he called him up, and it just so turned out that he was driving up to shoot a Carnifex video in California, and he was driving through Texas, and we're like, dude, we just want to shoot like a super raw video. Be 1 day shoot, just super simple, no story, no actors. Let's just get in a room and jam it out, and you do your thing. And it panned out so perfectly. He had to drive through Texas anyway, heading to California, and it was a 1 day shoot, and we just knocked it out of the park. He's like, yeah, let's do it. I mean, I'm already going there. I got my crew, I got everything I need, and it just worked out. It was crazy.
And I just interviewed Scott Ian, not Scott Ian of Anthrax, but Scott Ian of Carnifex, for BODS Mayhem Hour, and just you mentioned that he was on his way out to California to do that video with Scott and them, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've worked with Scott, before, so it was just a no-brainer. And seeing all the work that he's done over the years, from back then till now, I mean, he just keeps getting better and better.
You guys work with producer Christopher Mora and co-producer Thomas Alvarez. How was working with these gentlemen?
Oh, it's amazing. So Thomas, it's a crazy story. Me and Danny share a younger brother, and that is Thomas. So he's actually our younger brother. And Chris is from a local band here, and he's been recording bands in the scene forever. And he actually helped us co-produce the last album. And that's how we got, working with him, and me and him sat down and would write a lot of the stuff on the last album, and we just clicked. So for this album, we're like, let's just go straight to Chris, and let's bring in our younger brother, who's an amazing songwriter as well. He has a band called Cold Casket, and they're killing it right now. And so it was just trying to find the most comfortable, environment for us to create the best album we could. And these guys are like our brothers. So every day it was just like, man, it was so easy to go in there and just hammer out songs, and we had so much fun, and it was just no pressure at all. It was a breeze, really.
Working with these guys, did they get anything out of you all that somebody else may not have gotten possibly? Is there just a comfort? Did they push you guys?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing is, we trust them so much, like because they're part of the younger generation. Me and Danny are part of the older scene, older generation. So, and we trust their work because we know the way they write. We know that they're writing great songs. And so when they would tell us, like, this is a jam right here, even if we're kind of like, I don't know, we kind of were hesitant about it. They're like, no, trust me, let's go with this. And we're just like, all right, we trust you. That's why we're here. That's why we brought you on board, for that exact reason. So yeah, there was plenty of times where they were just kind of, being like, this is a song, this is the lyric, this is the riff, So it was awesome.
Yeah, but does it seem weird though to bring that old school in metal to meet the new style? Well, I guess not new style, but new sound of metal, I guess I should say. Does it seem kind of odd a little bit though?
No, not at all. I think the blend, happened perfectly. I mean, they knew, that's the thing. They knew what we're going for, and and it was to create a straight metal album. So I think we were all on the same page as far as that goes. And then, going forward and creating the songs, once we send them, so we would write a song a day, and we'll send it to the guys at Tiki Star, George and Randy, and they would be like, this is it. This is a sound. Like, just keep going with this. And after we got it going, it was just a snowball. We just, every day, we would send little clips first. We'd be like, do you like this? And they'd be like, yep, that's perfect. And we'll just finish the song and done deal. And that was another song in the bank. And so after the process got started and we were all on the same page and we found the sound, we just ran with it. And that's what this album is. It's crazy.
Do you see Upon a Burning Body still musically growing, or has it just been more of a personal growth for all of you guys involved?
No, definitely. I definitely see a growth. I feel like this is, to date, the biggest album release as far as the response goes and all the positive feedback. Like, I don't feel like we've ever had this much positive feedback on any album we've created. So I definitely feel like we're growing, and we're going to continue to grow. And that's all it is. I mean, we're very much a lifestyle band. So when we write songs, we write about real things, and we write about, experiences that we've had. So, it is an evolution, and we've gone through ups and downs and all sorts of shit. So to me, I feel like we still have a lot to say, and there's no end in sight.
What does Upon a Burning Body bring to the table for music that's not out there as of right now, if anything, Ruben? I know nobody's reinventing the wheel, but what do you guys bring to add to that table for music?
I just think really we're about coming and releasing all that pent-up energy at the show. And that's the thing. People listen to the record, and, yeah, they love the music and all that, but I don't think you get it until you come out and see us live. And then you understand what's happening. And I hear that all the time from fans. They're just like, this is my first time seeing you. And, you know, you guys are good on record, but when you see it live, and I'm sure that's the way it was for Pantera too. You know, unfortunately, I never got to see them, but I'm sure, you know, seeing them and listening to them are two different things. And, you know, that's what we do, is we create an experience.
Do you like to hear that, though? Because I'm not knocking any bands that are out there, but there's some bands that are strictly just album bands, and there's some bands that are both album and live bands. Do you like that, though, that fans are saying, hey, look, you know, you're good on CD, plus you're good live?
No, I agree. I think we're both in, and we're great in both senses. You know, I think we write great albums, but when you see it live, it only gets better. And, you know, that's what every band, I think, should strive for, is, okay, cool, you can write a good album, but can you deliver that same energy live? And, you know, when we play live, we put it all out on the table, and, you know, that energy is definitely conveyed in both ways. So I don't feel like, you know, there's any holding back for us. And, you know, yeah, like you said, I've seen bands where you hear the great album, but then you go and see them, and it's not the same, and you're just like, man, it sucks. It's kind of a bummer. You know, you're hoping for more. Mm-hmm. But, you know, we're definitely not one of those bands. We definitely bring it every time.
I was very fortunate to see Pantera live on the Ozfest tour in 2000 or 2001, I believe. I can't remember which year. But I was very fortunate to see them. And, whew, it was unbelievable.
I bet, man. I really wish I could have seen them, yeah. But, I mean, they were a little bit before my time. I would have been too young, you know, so I'm bummed that I didn't get to check it out.
Yeah, it was when Phil was having really bad problems out of his back. You know, he was moving around some, but you could tell he was really hurting. He was laying around on the stage some, and I get it. I mean, it hurts when you have a bad back. It really does.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, and it's crazy because he's still doing it, you know. He's still got his new band, and, you know, they're still jamming and killing it. I see him filling up rooms, and I'm just like, shit, man, this guy is an OG.
Yes, sir.
For sure.
When you come into the recording studio, do you do anything differently during that writing and recording process to help keep your mind fresh and open to not get bored or not get stale with it? Do you like to do anything, Ruben, that helps you out personally, maybe?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm all about the vibe. You know, when we went into Chris's, like, he had just gotten in there, and it was still like bare walls, thinking he didn't have anything up. It was just very bare. So I asked him, I was like, would you mind if I brought some stuff and just for influence, you know, I got a couple of little tapestries and hung them up, and, you know, I'm very, very much about setting the vibe and going in with the right mindset. And, you know, I guess spiritual wise, you know, I want to feel good. I don't want any kind of negativity cloud. And, you know, sometimes we'll get into heated discussions about which way we should go and which way the song should go. And, you know, I was like, okay, let's take a breather. Let's come back, and then, you know, we'll listen to it again. You know, we've been in the room for 4 or 5 hours listening to the same song. It gets draining, you know, sometimes, and you're just like, okay, what do we need, you know? And same thing with influences. Like, you know, I try to get influences from the weirdest places, because I feel like that's how the best songs are created. Like, whether it be a pop song or something completely off the wall that just has something about it that I love, and I'll just be like, well, let's take this vibe and try to create it in a metal sense and see what we can do. And sure enough, you know, it works, and it turns into, you know, one of our biggest songs. And it's crazy how it all pans out.
Any songs on this album that didn't make it that could see the light of day possibly on down the road, or no?
No, honestly, if it didn't cut it, we just threw it out, and we didn't even finish the song. So most of these songs, like I said, were written on the fly, and, you know, we would send them a little chunk. If they were digging it, we would finish it, and it was a done deal. So we basically just wrote, you know, right up to where we needed to, and we just called it a day, and we're like, there it is. There's the record, you know, no more. We didn't add any special little interludes or anything like that. Just cut it dry and have 10 strong songs, and that was it.
What can fans expect at a show from Upon a Burning Body who have not got to see you guys live as of yet? What are they going to get when they come to see you live?
Just pure madness and energy, from us and from the crowd. Our fans go for a reason. They want to let loose. They want to have fun. And, it's not about violence. It's not about, beating each other up. It's just about having a good time. And that's all we promote at our shows. And I feel like everyone that goes just knows that, and they just let loose. And it's great to see that, from our fans.
So we're living in the digital era of recording albums to get music out quicker, and now we've got social media to reach out to more people to hear of Upon a Burning Body. Do you like this that we're in right now, or no?
It was definitely an adjustment. It took us a while because we were right in the middle of it all. We went from selling albums to this being a digital release, but there was enough demand. We've seen enough demand where we're going to actually put out a couple of albums, and same thing with the record. We're going to print some vinyl, and it's just crazy to be in this era, because I remember we went out on our last record, and we were trying to sell CDs, and we would go out there in the crowd, and we're actually physically trying to sell these CDs, and people were like, what am I going to do with that? And that's when we knew, like, oh man, these times are changing, like what's going on?
Oh my God.
There's no longer CD players and cars. It's just like, wow, is it just dead already? Like, man, it's a crazy transition, and having to adapt and to the social media and everything. Like, just everything has been a trip for us.
I still listen to my CDs in my car, and I still like to collect the CDs because I like to have that physical copy in my hand to say, look, this is what this band sings, this is what this band looks like, this is their album cover art. I like the whole thing like that,
Yeah, and that's exactly why we decided to print some, because we weren't. We were just like, let's just do a digital release. Everybody's doing it now. It's like we all felt like there was no need for CDs, but then people like yourself and the other fans were just like, no, we want a physical copy.
Yeah.
And so enough people were asking us for it, and we're like, okay, we're going to put out a limited run and it's cool because that makes it even more precious. Now it's an actual collector's item. Like, we're only going to print a certain amount. So, it's cool. To me, it makes it cooler that way, than having 10,000 albums like that anybody can get.
What made you, Ruben, want to become a musician? What was that spark for you, good sir, that said, yeah, that's what I want to do right there?
My father was a musician. Yeah, he played bass. He played Tejano music, though. But, I grew up just listening to him thump the bass, and I feel like it just runs through my blood, and there's nothing else I wanted to do. But what turned me on to metal was definitely Iron Maiden and Slipknot. Those bands that got me started back in middle school. I was playing bass already, but playing like oldies and just weird stuff. And then I heard Steve Harris play bass, and I was like, holy shit, this is like lead bass. Like, what's going on? And it was just insane to me. So right away, I changed gears, and I was like, this is the music I want to play for sure.
Is there a country that stands out or shocks you that Upon a Burning Body gets support from, or your guys' music even gets played in that area?
Yeah, definitely Japan and Thailand. That was a culture shock for us. And to hear people singing back, everything's bigger in Texas, in Japan, and they don't even speak, English. And it's just like, it's crazy. They were screaming those lyrics at the top of their lungs. And it was very humbling and just, a culture shock for us.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And they're a show in Japan versus ours is totally different. It's like a 360 world of difference because
yeah, definitely.
They show respect. Like, I from what I saw, like shows that I've seen, band will get through the song and then they just are quiet. It's like,
oh yeah,
it's like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's silence. It's crazy. You're right. They're really respectful, and just the whole culture over there is just so different. But it was amazing to see and experience, I hope we can go back there.
What's it mean to you when you guys receive an email or a fan comes up to you and tells you that, hey, your music has pulled us through a bad experience, or it's let us get over obstacles, or it's gave us the inspiration to just do anything that we need to? What's it mean to you guys?
For me personally, I can speak for myself and just say that is more than enough to get out of life of being a musician, is to say you help somebody get through a tough time. Or, I can't tell you how many times fans have come up and said, I was on the verge of just ending it all, but, I heard your album and it pulled me through. And for us to hear that, it's beyond words. I couldn't, I never thought that, playing in a metal band would have that effect on people. And to see that and to hear that, it's just amazing. It makes it all worth it. No matter what happens from here on, the fact that we've affected people in that way makes everything worth it.
It's like I said 1,000 times, man. Music is the best drug in the world. You don't need anything else. That's it.
Yeah, and it brings people together. I mean, that's the thing. People think, have this notion that, especially metal music, like, that metal is some kind of violent and grotesque thing, but in the end, like, man, those are some of the most, that's a melting pot of every type of person and every love of metal, and it's just an awesome thing to experience and be part of.
Ruben, how can folks stay in touch with you guys, buy some merchandise, tour dates, things like that? How can you do that, good sir?
Everything is at seekandstrike.com. You can go get your tickets. All of our shows right now for the U.S. are under $20, and we're about to hit a headliner, and it's going to be sick as fuck. So everything's there. Our merch is there. Go check us out on Instagram, Upon a Burning Body Official, UABB on Twitter, and Upon a Burning Body on Facebook.
Ruben, before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Oh, of course, yeah. What's up? This is Ruben from Upon a Burning Body, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Radio Network. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link, YouTube link, and soon our Twitch link. Also, we have a YouTube page. Get out and like and subscribe, because everything that we do is going to be put on the old YouTube, so check it out. Also, get out and check out Upon a Burning Body. I have liked their music for a long time. They've got some great stuff that's out there. Me personally, I dig them. So I think you guys will too. Ruben, I wish you guys the best of luck as always from here on out, and just keep kicking ass, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. It was a great interview.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.